Welcome to the show, everyone. I am so excited about being here, and we're going to be doing something a little different than we normally do here, but still sort of the same. I have with me Scott Fischer. He's the owner of Options for Senior Living, and we're going to talk a little bit today about Senior Living 101. It's an education, the top questions that people get asked, you know, when they go look on Google, because a lot of people go up on Google and that's what they're doing, that they are, literally, you told me that you asked what they were. We have a list of them and we're gonna kind of go over, and I want you to know who Scott is and why he's an aficionado on answering these for you.
Well,
so thank you for being here.
It's good to be here always, Carol.
Thank you
For having me in. You know, 22 plus years ago, I had been a nurse for a number of years, and the job I had at that particular time was guiding me in and out of senior living facilities because the people I was caring for were experiencing different symptoms with their dementia, various other healthcare issues. And as that nurse was walking in and out of these senior living places, I was like, how do people get here? How does a family figure this out? And lo and behold, at that time, there was a new industry developing that we call the senior referral and placement industry. And as a clinician, I could use those professional clinical skills in a way that walked alongside families. And I started my own business, which is what I always wanted to be. And that's how we did it in 2003. We launched Options, walking out of the clinical career that way.
Now, you're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. You've been nominated for the Ethics Award in 2022, and you work valley-wide. It is a free service to the families out there. But you're also way more than all of this, okay? Because you are so into protecting the seniors,
Right.
and there's things that you have developed, and we can talk about those maybe throughout. But if there's anyone, when you have a question to ask about your senior, right, living at home, that may need, you don't know whether it's the right time, you don't know what some of these signs to look for, he's the person for you to call. So let's go into some of these questions, right? And I have to ask the first question, which is what I just already asked. When is the time when you think that people should call? Because you must get that asked all the time.
All the time, and I'll actually sit at people's kitchen table with them when we get asked to come in and maybe mom's having some issues, and I'm sitting there talking with maybe one of the daughters or the adult son, and I'll ask, what's mom and dad's week look like? What do you do for them already? And they'll tell me, oh, we do all mom's shopping, and we prepare meals and leave them for her each week, and we go to the pharmacy and pick up her pills and set up her medication, and we have a yard crew coming out. And so they tell me all these things, and I said, well, you know your mom's already in assisted living. What? I said, you're just doing it. You're the one providing those resources. That's exactly what. So when is it time for assisted living? It's really individualized to each individual family and their specifics. But it often comes down to, when is the family said, hey, wait a minute, my personal life is being so impacted that I need to do something else for mom. And it's not because I don't love you, mom. I often frame it this way. It's like, hey, the most loving thing you can do for your parents is to be them for them in that current situation. The next most loving thing is to now do the right research to find the right step that's next for them. But specifically, when there's changes in cognition, changes in things that affect their safety, that's really the bottom line. So that could be changes in cognition, that could be, I forgot to lock the door at night, I'm leaving the door open, that might be getting lost in the car once in a while, that might be not managing their appointments, their medications. Safety is always the bottom line for me, and that's where I really then drive down the conversation and go, so what's in here now that might be affecting mom's safety? And then they'll give me that list of specifics.
What I also think is important is for people to realize that, you know, what seems easy is really not that easy to do. Even looking for the right assisted living facility, because you have researched them. I want you to talk a little bit about that part of it, because, you know, there's a reason why to use somebody to help you get to there, and there's good reasons why.
Right. There are a number of resources online where you can just put in, you answer like a menu, and you're almost ordering like your cheeseburger and your french fries and your onion rings, You can do that with senior living, and you'll get stuff back from various companies that give you a referral. I'm against that because as a local agent, I consider myself a local expert. We go in and out of senior living communities as a routine. We're constantly researching their performance with the Department of Health Services because they're surveyed annually under their licensure status. There's new legislation that was just passed to protect families just this month that now the small assisted living homes, the group homes we call them, now have to demonstrate extra competence and training in caring for people with dementia in order to have people in their home that are demented, because before there was no protections, and so that's a new development. We'll be on top of that for people. Otherwise, people don't know any of these things, and they get their order, and they get their answer to their order online, and they get their shopping list, and then they go out and they start looking for places, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just a disaster. So really, a local expert like us becomes so valuable to people. We know our way around.
Now, their phone number is 602-845-1320. They're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. You can check them out on their website. It's optionsforseniorliving.com. This is a free service. It just makes sense to speak to a local expert, and he is. Now, I want to talk also about some of these things. Let's talk about signs of dementia, because that happens and people don't even realize that that's going on way earlier before they start really seeing real signs, real big signs.
Yeah, I think most people start to say, hey, mom's got dementia, and to clarify, a lot of folks use the word dementia and Alzheimer's interchangeably, and so let me just start by saying, dementia is a overall general term that signifies there's abnormal brain degeneration. All right, there's various types of dementia. Alzheimer's is one of those. Vascular is one of those. Parkinsonian dementia is one. So there's various types of dementia. So it's not necessarily it could be interchangeable, but it's not. When you start to have a change in people, they think the obvious sign is they're forgetting names, or they get their dates confused, or they forget.
That happens to me anyway.
That happens. It's really before that. What you'll see is change in judgment, impaired insight, maybe odd responses to questions that seem out of character for mom. That's not like what. Getting more generous when they were penny pinchers, stuff like that. Those are the things that I'm concerned about early. Do they have to move to assisted living? No, but it alerts me that there's something starting to brew, and we have to now potentially keep a closer watch on that, or begin to have those tests and things done so that we know what might be happening to mom.
Now, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk further about this. Again, it's Assisted Living 101. What are some of the top questions that people go to Google to ask? You're listening here. It could be you. It could be someone that you know, who most people know somebody all the time, that has somebody living at home, and their loved ones are taking care of it, and you probably shouldn't be. There's a point where there's a fine line where now it's time to really, let's see where we can put mom into a home where it's going to be safe, as we write, and I guarantee with you can walk in and assess the situation. You probably already know a couple of places that are probably going to be right for them, because he's your local expert on this. Now again, his phone number to call is 602-845-1320, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. He works valley-wide. It is a free service to you. It makes sense to call a local expert. Again, 602-845-1320. It's optionsforseniorliving.com.
I don't know about you, but I was tired of starting my day
birthday.
with a TV show.
Bingo.
Now, I want to come back over here, because remember, we're live on Facebook right now. Okay. So I want to go into this. I think is a great thing. We've gone here and this. Okay. So we're really on target, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. If you want to, if we get through here and you want to get to what happens when my parent don't want to hear what I have to say?
Oh, I love that.
So if you want to get there,
I totally love
maybe
that.
we'll finish up on that landing spot, because that's That's a tough conversation.
Now, can I keep this? I've been
You
writing
can have
on it.
this. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
because
I'll-
we can use it for next time?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's for you, and that's what I printed out for us today.
Yeah,
But,
parents.
yeah, what happens
Don't
when
wanna
mom
hear
don't
it.
Yeah. Because there's no real answer, but you have to talk about it, because the reality is they push back.
Well, I don't remember if I talked to you about this or not, but my mother-in-law is a perfect example, where she was living in her home. She started to fall, didn't want to tell anyone, and she didn't, and she ended up with all of her sores got septic, I mean, really. And so she put herself in a terrible situation by doing that, ended up in the hospital, ended up not being able to go home. And so they had to sell the home,
Yeah.
get her into assisted living, which the place where they lived, they already had it there, so that's just where she went. So that was just the way it went. But she's still miserable, you know, because it wasn't what she wanted, right? And these things happen, and I think it's important for people to understand also about watching their parents more, being a little bit taking more, like, I don't know what it is. My ex-husband, when I was in the hospital, I was literally having a reaction to an antibiotic, and I said, is my face red? Because I was scratching my head. I go, is my face so funny? They're fine. Well, he did the same with his mother-in-law. I ended up being allergic to something. My face was all red, and he was like, didn't even notice it. Whereas even with his mother, they don't take notice. And she, of course, was covering a lot of it, but still, you could see in her face that there were things that you could totally see.
My mom is having a medication reaction now. They're balancing her pain medicine and her muscle relaxants, you know, all these back issues. And the muscle relaxants are making her droopy and dropey and feel crowly. But I know my mom well enough, because I spent so much time with her, that I could tell her physician yesterday, hey, this is a medicine reaction, this isn't
But it's
something
so
else.
important that you take notice.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
So welcome back, everyone. We're doing Senior Living 101. It's education for people out there. Maybe it's for you. These are the top questions that people ask when they're going to Google about senior care and living. And honestly, what we're doing here is just giving you that education. Maybe it's you or someone that you know, to know what to look for, to know who to call. And please, when you're listening to the show, call and find out how they can help you. I think that's the main thing. It is free for you to get this information. They want to talk to you, they want to help you. Don't do it on your own. I think that's really a bad thing to do. And you know, I think we've talked about this once or twice before, where the kids feel like they're obligated. But I think you're doing a disservice when there's a time and place for them to now move into an assisted living.
Well, we all feel a certain amount of responsibility and pride, and sometimes it's hard to say, hey, I need some help. Although we've helped thousands of families find the right solution, I've talked to thousands and thousands of families just to talk to them, just to give them resources, point them in the right direction. So I thank you, because we just love a conversation. Please talk to us before a crisis. You know, that's really our message.
That has
Talk to
been
us
the
before
message
crisis.
all along, please, because I've seen the crisis happen, and it is not a pretty sight. It really is not.
Right.
Their number is 602-845-1320. Again, he is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. They're valley-wide. It is a free service. It makes sense to just do this. Now, I want to talk to you about something that sounds like it's a simple question, but you know, we've always said that there's no stupid questions, but this is interesting. What is the difference between assisted living and a nursing home?
Great. The state of Arizona licenses residential style care facilities that we call assisted living. It's where folks go to get their social and medical needs met, their healthcare needs met, all in the same place. Historically, we didn't have assisted living. This has been something that's really developed over the last 25, 30 years. Prior to that, everybody lived in what we call the nursing home. So when you talk about senior living, people still have that old paradigm in their head where it's slump block walls in an old cold building, tile floor, smelly, seniors rolled up in their
wheelchairs,
with their shawl,
drooling.
right. And I'm telling you, there is nothing further from the truth today. Yes, those places still exist. That is not what we're talking about here. Assisted living and senior living, modern style, is upscale, elegant, even for those that find themselves maybe on requiring state assistance programs, and we have those here, that may not be affording the nicest places in some of the nicer ends of town. Not a big deal. There's still a lot of really nice, improved quality of life over where people were previously living. So assisted living has nurse on staff, but not 24 hours a day. They're licensed that the techs can give the medicines where the nurses don't have to. Helps keep the cost down. They provide 3 meals a day, activities programs, transportation, housekeeping services, all that kind of stuff. Nursing home, of course, there's really 2 parts of the nursing home. There's folks that live long-term, where they really need lots of care, and they might be on state assistance and things like that, or they're just going to the nursing home for a rehab. Their insurance is paying for it. Long-term, it's usually out of pocket, or there's some sort of state funding for that. When you go to the rehab after you've been in the hospital, hip replacement surgery, you had something.
I almost did it.
Yeah. Then you go and your insurance pays for that, and it's usually a 2 or 3 week stay.
Mhm.
And you go in and out for a recovery time, a rehabilitative time, and it's restoring you back to where you were previously living. Assisted living is typically a long-term selection where people now live a supported life, but still enjoy the benefits of being home.
There's different levels from what I know,
Yes.
okay? So you might go in, maybe you are downsizing and you just wanna live in an assisted living kind
Yep.
of an area, but then things happen and now you get on another different level,
Yeah,
right? Is that
right.
correct?
That's right. You can go in, you can be completely independent. They may have a separate segment of the building that's independent.
Right.
Or you could go into the assisted living and live independently, where they just provide your meals and a great place to live. And
Mhm.
you drive and you come and go, and
Mhm.
it's all there. As you need stuff, they're there to provide that stuff for you.
Right.
So whether it's shower assistance or medication management or any of that kind of thing, they can add that level of care onto your program.
So let's talk about the cost,
Okay.
Daddy, because, you know, the cost can be, it's just, I'm sure can be very high.
They're sticker shock.
Okay.
You know, when I start talking to people about this is where first of all, let's understand that for our parents and our seniors, they're typically on federal insurance. We call it Medicare,
Mhm.
right? It often gets confused with Medicaid. I'll talk about that in a minute. But Medicare, as a health insurance, doesn't have any provisions for long-term care like this. They pay for rehab, 2 or 3 weeks in the rehab, but they don't pay for assisted. So it comes out of pocket. A typical, not real complicated situation is probably gonna cost somebody $4,000 to $6,000 a month out of pocket. Talking about $60,000 a year, maybe more. That's a lot to ask people to have saved for, or to have provision for, or to have $5,000 a month of discretionary income to go, so that it becomes a challenge. For memory care services, for care services that are specific to folks that have moderate to advanced dementia, you're in a special program for people like that, 8 to 12, 14. I mean, it could be very expensive, again, depending on part of town you're living in. It depends on the amount of care, there's some variables to that, but you're talking about $80,000, $100,000, $120,000 a year. That's a lot of money. So in order to help people understand how they pay for those things, of course, their biggest asset a lot of time is their home. So many times in the transition, they're downsizing, the equity of the home gets pulled to start paying for their long-term care services. There are programs now that you can tap it without having to sell it. That's really helpful sometimes.
That's nice.
There's people that have purchased private long-term care insurance that can offset or cover it, but not everybody has that. But that's a decision I made at 50 years old. I would say everybody, if you're 45 or 50 and you're hearing me, talk to somebody about long-term care insurance for your own self, so that your kids aren't faced with the same issues you might be dealing with your parents. But it's a lot of money, Carol. It's a lot of money.
And, but here's the thing too, though, when you obviously you want the best. Right away you're gonna go, I want the best for my mom.
Yep.
And it is gonna be, what you said, sticker shock.
Yep.
But what's great about being able to talk to Scott is that you can guide them into maybe a little bit less,
Yep.
right? But the facility that's still gonna be right for them,
Yep.
cause that's what you're there
Well,
for.
my daughter's mother-in-law called my wife and I this morning because her in-laws live at home with her and her husband, and their health is going to crud right now. And they didn't realize, because of his service in the military, that there's a bunch of benefits that they're not taking advantage of or they can apply for. And so we not only talk about the cost, but I also have to come up with some solutions how to access these public benefits. Did you service?
And you may not even think of that question to ask Google. That's what I love about this show. It
Yep.
offers for people to
Yep.
hear someone like you who
Yep.
is an expert in this field, and it makes sense to speak to him, but he's gonna give you all the resources,
Yep.
everything that you need. That's what you're
They,
all
they
about.
were thinking they were totally broke, and by the end of the conversation, we're like, I think we can get you about $5,500, $6,000 a month for these two to go live somewhere.
Wow.
And it's like, oh my gosh. So just one phone call may have solved or started them on the right path to help
And
get
change their
and
lives.
change their lives.
Absolutely. Again, his phone number to call is 602-845-1320. Give him a call, he can help, and whether it's for you or someone that you know, please. Now, I wanted to get to this, we only have a couple more minutes, but what happens when the parents don't wanna even hear this?
What? That, I don't ever see that.
Oh, yeah, never.
No. I said pride's a big deal. You know, it's the human condition. We want to be self-reliant. We don't want people to tell us what to do. So we also have an issue that we've been telling our kids all these years what to do, and now they're telling us what to do, and so there's an automatic knee-jerk reaction.
Dichotomy there.
Yeah, the kids are becoming the parents.
Mhm.
I say this: start way early. If you don't have these conversations early, you're more likely going to have the pushback later. Our parents, particularly my generation, my parents' generations, my in-laws, are super proud, super self-reliant. They survived the Depression. They survived World War II, right? That's the kids that lived through that. And so they don't want their kids in their business necessarily. And so we have to start often and early. I love you. I will never do anything to you or at you. It's always with and for. We want to build trust in there. It's really a challenge when you start to get some, I would say, some fuzz. I say those early dementia signs. If that starts to enter, it becomes really hard to continue to trust, because suspiciousness and paranoia could
Oh,
creep
God.
in, right?
Absolutely.
Can creep in. So we take it head on. A lot of love, a lot of patience, a lot of persistence, little gains at a time. You can't make them do anything, but you can love them.
But I can tell you something too, when it comes from someone different, you know, the outside looking in,
A third person is
there's
really helpful.
nothing like
Yeah,
it. Again,
really
that
helpful.
number is 602-845-1320. It's options for seniorliving.com.